Okay, now we are going into the topic of ethics. Just a review. Hopefully that I can finish within uh, half an hour. Right? So now I'm going to share the slides uh, on ethics. Everybody can see the slides. Everybody can listen, can hear me. So this is actually just like a review of what we have covered so far. Without ethics, is a wild beast loose upon this world. This is actually the quotation from Albert Camus. Eh? Eh? So everybody must have ethics, whether it's personal ethics or professional ethics. Eh? Ethical theory in a nutshell, in summary. So ethics is actually closely related to moral. It's a branch of philosophy that deals with the general natural good and bad, and the specific moral obligation of and choices to be made by individuals in his or her relationship to others. So that is the ethics. It's a nature of good or bad of a certain choices that you make in relation to other people. It's a rule or standard governing conduct, especially those of a profession. So rules or standard or governing conduct, this is more related to the professional ethics. Nature of good and bad, those are closely related to the personal ethics. And of course, personal ethics influence the professional ethics. And professional ethics also sometimes is influence your personal ethics. What's the relationship between ethics and moral? Ethics and moral are two terms that are often used interchangeably. Sometimes we use moral for ethics, ethics for moral. Ethics is the philosophy or study of moral obligations and the choices to be made by individuals. The choices made are based upon personal beliefs, and the decisions have relational repercussion. So, ethics is actually a philosophy or a study of the obligations, of the moral obligation that you make. How you make choices, how you choose certain things, how you choose to behave is based on your personal belief. And that personal belief actually developed based on your teaching by the parents or by the religion. Okay? And that decision that you have made has certain repercussion to the society or to yourself. That is ethics. On the other hand, morals are fundamental principles, laws, or rules that are generally accepted and practiced by religion and belief systems of the world. That is moral. Moral is the law, rules, or principles which is practiced or accepted by the religion that you profess or by the belief systems of the world. So there are certain things which is morally right in a certain religion and certainly not accepted in another religion. So moral values can change based on the belief systems. You can think of many things. For example, polygamy. For Muslims, polygamy is morally right. Whereas in America, in their belief systems, polygamy is not right. It's even illegal. So that is the moral that they hold. Actually, moral is related to the belief systems. So it can change. Okay? Ethics. There are three types of ethics. There are common morality, which is shared among all the people. So this is what we will call it is a universal values. Universal values basically accepted by all. For example, murder is immoral or even illegal. That actually holds true throughout humanity. So set of moral belief shared by almost everyone. And this common morality is really to protect individuals from various types of violation or invasion of their personhood by others. For example, like killing, the example that I use. That is a common morality. Killing is wrong. Another types of morality of ethics is that personal morality. Sets of morals that a person holds. This is closely parallel to the perception of common of the perception of common morality. So basically, the personal morality is actually closely related to the common morality. The only thing is that personal morality is the sets of morals that the person holds. For example, basically that you have a common morality which is held by everybody, but you yourself has certain addition to it that you accept as your personal morality. The third type of ethics is the professional ethics. This is a set of standards adopted by professionals insofar as they view themselves acting as a professional. So you as an engineer, for example, therefore, in you, you have three ethics. One is common morality. The second one is your own personal morality. And the third one, your professional ethics as an engineer. And sometimes these professional ethics actually carry out even with something which is not related in your career, in your profession. For example, professional ethics says that the safety of the public is paramount or is critical or is important. That professional ethics with regards to your job as an engineer. Basically that, let's say you as an electrical engineer, you design a power plant. So when designing a power plant, you need to take care or the interest of the public safety. But that professional ethic is embedded in you, that in personal morality also you have that in you. For example, you walk, maybe you jog in the morning, you jog, then after that you see, okay, there is a broken glass, a broken bottle on the path, on the jogging path. So what would it? Okay, you take it and you put it aside so that it's not injure other people. So that is actually becomes a basically that the safety of the public is important. So you carry that from the professional ethics to your personal morality. Do you have to do that? No, you are not obligated to do that. Most of people just close their eyes and just avoid that broken glass, broken bottle. But you, because you hold that professional ethics, what you do is that maybe you find a plastic bag, you put it properly, and you dispose it properly so that nobody will get injured from that. Okay, clear. Moral principles and values. What are morals? Morals is in the choices between good and bad. You choose between good and bad. Principle is the fundamental laws that govern the human behavior, the golden rules that you follow. And values is something a group holds to be valuable or worthwhile. The values within the society, what they feel that something which is valuable to that society, that worthwhile for the society to follow. So these are the definition of moral, principle, and values. Common ground is actually share common stock of basic beliefs about morals, standard rules, and principles. So there is a common ground. There is a common understanding, for example, that something that you accept is a basic beliefs about the moral standards, about the rules and principles within your organization or within your community. What do you accept as the minimum basis? So this, for example, is a religious commitment. What are the common ground within your religious commitment? And some of them maybe is in the terms of secular commitments. What are the common ground among them? So people differ in their moral belief because of these factors, is basically because of family background and religious upbringing. So the moral beliefs between one individual to another individual are not the same because of how they were brought up and what kind of religious belief or religious upbringing that they follow. Even within Islam, uh, there are many flavor. You have mazhabs, you have school of thoughts, different school of thoughts. But within that, you have a common ground, common understanding. Yeah? The ethical systems, basically that there are many uh, ethical systems, and the first one is that it's a rule-based ethics. Basically, that apply a set of rules to make all decisions. So its universality is a reason for action that all people in society could accept. So rule-based ethic is that you apply a set of rules in making the decision. So it relies on the universality principle. Basically that all people is actually, this rule actually applies to everybody. So it's universal. That everybody can accept this rule. Transitivity, the principle of transitivity is that you would accept others applying the same decision to you. That this same apply to me and also apply to somebody else. So there is no exception. There is a rule-based ethics. So what does this remind you of? What kind of system is this? And what is the problem with this? Is it not is something like a communist systems? The idealistic communist systems that everybody applies the same rule, there is no exception. What is the problem with this? The problem is that not everybody having the same problem. Not everybody in the same condition. So there must be exception to the rules. So rule-based ethics, is it practical? It is ideal, but most probably it is not practical. So what are the other alternatives? The second one is that conditional rule-based ethics, where not everybody uh, applies the same rule. You have exceptions. There are certain conditions under which an individual can break a rule. So believe that the moral good of a situation outweigh the rule. So basically that you consider case by case basis. Yes, this rule applies to everybody, but in certain cases, you have the the what do you call it, the power to not apply, to exempt huh, certain people from this rule. So there are exceptions that can be made when you feel that the moral good uh, is heavier than the rule, than following the rule. For example, we take a very simple example. Can you beat a red light dekat traffic light? Cannot, right? If the police just happen at the traffic light and you go through the red light, you'll be summoned, right? Right? But let's say in the car, your wife is ready to deliver a baby, and there is red light, and you beat the red light, and the police in front stop you. Most probably that the police say, okay, you go ahead because you are in a emergency condition. So that is a conditional rule-based ethics. The third one is utilitarian ethics. Utilitarian ethics is the decision are made based upon the decision that brings about the highest good for all, relative to all other decisions. So the decision is being made based on the evaluation of case by case basis, whichever that give you the highest good for everybody. So that decision will be made. This is the utilitarian ethics. So most of the time that we are following the conditional rule-based ethics. Oh, I use the same example. I didn't know. So the example of the conditional rule I just mentioned just now is driving over the. My example tadi is basically beating the red light. But this example is that driving over the speed limit when transporting a seriously ill person to the hospital. So, number one, is it ethical? Yes. What about number two? How about cheating an exam because you have bring a sick person to the hospital? Is it ethical? Maybe not. You should not cheat just because you have bring a sick person to the hospital. So this approach, the problem with this approach is that we need to determine under which circumstance the moral good of one exceeds the other. Why the second one, you feel that it's not ethical? Why? Or you feel that it's ethical? To me, to me, cheating is not related to bring in the sick person to the hospital. So cheating is still bad because there is no reason. There is the bringing the sick person to the hospital is not a valid reason for you to cheat. So you need to determine which condition, which circumstances is actually related in order for you to make the decision on the whether something is ethical or not. Utilitarian ethics, the decision that produces the highest good for all involved. What is the problem with this? The problem is that who decide the highest good? Who decide? Is it me to decide that, or you to decide that? Maybe when you decide, actually, it's whatever good for you. Or when I decide, it's whatever good for me. So who decide on the highest good? Normally, if I decide, then I will think from my point of view. So whatever is good for me, because it's from my perspective. So that is the problem with the utilitarian ethics. So those are the three types of the ethical systems. You have ethics-based, rule-based ethics. You have conditional, and you have utilitarian. What is the difference between moral and values? Morals and values. Morals are universal principles that govern behavior and are embodied in all major religions and belief systems of the world. Morals are laws or rules that are upheld by the masses as being good. Those are the moral. Basically, that is the universal principle that holds by all major religions and belief systems. And morals are also laws and rules that are upheld by the masses as being good. Whereas the value is something that a certain body or of people find worthwhile. Value is not often universally acceptable because its global relevance or because it may be good or bad. So values is something that you find worthwhile. And values are not often universally accepted. Okay? Golden rules. What are the golden rules? Golden rules are universal principles that are embodied in one form or another in all major religions or belief systems of the world. Examples of the golden rule: we cannot kill people, we cannot steal, don't drive while intoxicated, no incest, be honest. These are the golden rules in ethics. So these are the ethical cases. In ethical cases, it goes far beyond issues of public safety. It's not public safety alone in the ethical cases. It's involved many things. It involve bribery, fraudulent activities, environmental protections, fairness, fairness in terms of employment, for example, honesty in research and testing, whether you do your research in an honest manner, whether you report your research truthfully or not, conflict of interest, whether do you have conflict of interest in a certain projects. So in ethical cases that we are going to study or in this course, is that it's not only related to the public safety, but also involve uh, other issues: bribery, fraud, environmental protection, fairness, honesty in research and testing, conflict of interest, and whatnot, sabotage, espionage. Those are issues that sometimes we raise in the case study, in the exams. So you not just only to think of in the context of public safety. You have to think of a lot of other things. Right? So and you apply this professional ethics to evaluate the cases. Dishonesty. What is dishonesty? Dishonesty about lying. You lie about certain things. Deliberate deception. Deliberate deception in military is a strategy. It is acceptable. So you as an engineer, dishonesty is considered as unethical. But you, as a military officer, dishonesty in the form of deliberate deception is a war strategy. It's a battle strategy. So, should you be dishonest or not in that case? Think about it. For civilians, it's a clear cut. Cannot dishonesty. But you as a military person, you as cadet, what do you think? When you talk about engineers in society, it's a bit different than engineers in military. There are certain things that you are allowed to do compared to the engineers in society. Think about it. So it's not very clear cut, oh, this one is unethical, that one is ethical. No, it's based on the situation, based on your needs. And the way you evaluate, you have to think about the greater good. If deliberate deception give you a greater good to the society or to the country, therefore, it is ethical for you to do. Another example of dishonesty is withholding information. In general, you cannot hide information. But if you are work in the military, in intelligence, you work in J2 or N2 or A2, there is intelligence branch of in military. Then there are information that you keep secret, you withhold information. That certain information that you got with your life. And sometimes you deliberately misinformation. Think about it. You as an engineer, you go and work in the intelligence branch of the military, and your profession as an engineer says that you have to tell the truth, but your job as an intelligence officer, you see that, nope, you cannot tell the truth, withhold the information. So the way you evaluate the situation is by looking at the greater good. Which one is more critical? Dishonesty on campus accustoms a student to dishonesty, which can carry over into his or professional life. So sometimes that's cheating, in class and whatnot, that carries over in your personal life. These are the academic dishonesty, cheating, fabrication, plagiarize, facilitating academic dishonesty. That means that you allow people to copy your assignments, misrepresentations, failure to contribute to a collaborative project. Basically, for example, you are in a group of 3, only 2 are doing the work. The other one just free rider, sabotage, theft. These are some of the academic dishonesty. For this project, we have 2 basically assignments. One is the term paper. The other one is presentation. You have to work in a group. You cannot work individual. So whoever becomes the head of that group must be able to manage the group so that everybody contributes to the project. Okay? No free rider. Right? Example, job offers. Question: is it ethical to accept a job offer with a company, then change your mind and decline the offer if you subsequently receive a better offer from another company? Is it ethical or not? Is it ethical or not? This is actually something which is commonly happen. You send 10, 20 applications, 5 maybe call you for an interview, and 2 give you an offer. So how? Or even sometimes that out of 5 that call you for interview, You have one which is you what do you call it, favor, that you feel that I want to work with this company. But out of five, this company did not offer you yet, did not reject you yet, or offer you yet. But another company actually give you an offer, and you feel that, hey, I want to wait for that company to offer me to give an answer, yes or no, whether they accept or not. So now you have this offer from company A, but you prefer to work for company B, and B has not made you an offer yet. So do you accept offer company A with the intention that, okay, I accept A, but when B offer me B, then I will accept B and reject A.
So I think it is ethical as long as we don't, is as long as it stick to the terms and conditions.
You think that is ethical?
Yes, as long as we don't, we don't go against the terms and conditions set by company A when giving the job earlier.
This one is basically that just an offer. Where you are not working with that company yet. Just an offer letter. Accept that offer letter. Is it ethical to do that? Do you feel good to do that in your heart? Okay lah, I accept A first, then waiting for B to offer me and to give me an offer.
Sir, if nobody is depending on us, then we, and it's our own will, then we can go and do it.
How about in the interview, you tell the company that I am actually waiting for. I went to other companies for the interview, and I'm also keep waiting for their offer.
Then it is not ethical.
Which one is not ethical to
That
accept?
you that you that you told the interviewer that you are still waiting for offers, but you still haven't got anything, and then now they offered you already, but then you went and jumped to the other company. Then it's not ethical because you said one thing, you did something else.
No, it is ethical because because you tell them your situation, that you went for other interviews, for those five interviews, and they have not given you the answer yet, and you are still waiting for an answer. So you are being honest
Mm.
instead of you just keep quiet. You didn't tell them how many interviews that you went, and they offer you, you accept. Then after that, you get an offer from B, you reject A. So the company, maybe A offer you with the assumption that you have not gone into any interview. You are not waiting for offer from other companies.
Mm.
Hmm. This is actually that you will face after you have completed your bachelor, your degree. When you apply jobs, and a few companies will give you an offer. That is the positive side of it lah. The negative side of it, maybe nobody offer you, or nobody even call you for an interview because of the economic situation. So some of us, some of you will be put into this situation. How do you avoid being put in this situation? Basically, that you tell the truth, that you are waiting for offer from another company. Then definitely the company will ask you, where do we stand? Are we your top choice? Hmm. If you say A is your top choice, but actually B is your top choice, therefore you are lying. So think about it. Okay. Another example. Is it ethical to go on a job interview with a company that you have no intention working for?
No,
Is it ethical?
unethical, sir.
Huh?
Not ethical.
This is definitely not ethical. The first one is a bit blur. The first one is a bit blur, but in my opinion, I would say it's ethical for the first one, for you to reject. For this one, is really is unethical. But what about if you go for the interview because you want to have the experience of interview? Is it ethical? Hmm. For this example, you have no intention working for them, but you go there to interview because you want to have the experience of interviewing for this company.
Then it is ethical. But when they offer you the job, you must not accept it.
Hmm. This is difficult to answer. You see how the question can be made in the exam, and for you to justify your answer. There is no right or wrong answer, but based on your justification. If you can justify your answer and I can accept that justification, you get the marks. So that is a situational based ethics. Basis decision on whether they produce the highest good for the person, but decision based upon their effects on the individual and situation at hand. So there is a situational ethics. What is the highest good for you and for the company? And that decision based upon the effect on you and the situation at hand on the company. How much money that the company spend in preparing for the interview for you? To interview one person, maybe there are two, what do you call it, panelists. And that two panelists can be very busy people that they have to free up their slots so that they can sit down with you for 1 hour. So if you don't have the intention of working with them, if they offer you a job, why should you waste their time and their resources? Is it ethical? Even though you want to go there just to have the experience of interviewing.
No, sir.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that you need to take into consideration in deciding whether certain situation is ethical or not. That's all. Any question?
So I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, if within the company, they are doing something that is not proper or not ethical, such as they are falsifying the audit records,
Mm-hmm.
or there's some corruption going on in the company, they are falsifying the
Mm-hmm.
audit records, and all this. But then and then they classify all that information as private and confidential. But somebody within the company, as a whistleblower, he take all that information and then he go and pass to the authorities. So is that okay or not?
That one actually it goes into the whistleblower case, which we will cover in a few weeks' time. So because whistleblower has its own law, its own acts of law, it has to follow the proper procedure. If you don't follow the procedure, then you are not considered as a whistleblower. So if you are not considered as a whistleblower, therefore you are not protected under the law. So if you are not protected under the law, you can be charged in court for stealing confidential information. So it has to be done in accordance with the regulation, with the law. So whether it's ethical or not, it also relates to whether it's legal or not. So is something legal is unethical, or is it something illegal is ethical? So this also we will cover in the next few weeks, this issue. Okay? So I'm not going
Yes,
to
sir.
answer now.
Okay, sir.
What I'm going to do is that for you to think, to keep that question, and you will think about the answer when we go to that chapter on
Okay, sir.
legal and versus illegal and not. So you keep that question, and we discuss in future lecture. Okay,
Okay, sir.
that will be that is more interesting. Instead of I answer now, and by not knowing why that is the answer that I give. Okay,
Okay, sir.
any question?
No, sir.
No answer, no question. So basically that I'm not going into, basically I have 7B, professional ethics, but professional ethics, basically I have 25 slides. So I'm not going to go through that today because it will be long. It will take me another 1.5 hours. So might as well I stop that first, and we'll cover next week. Okay. So any question? If not, I'm going to stop the recording, and most probably that within next week, I'm going to give the revised list of the groupings for the projects, for the term paper, and also the presentation. Okay. Thank you. If there is no question, and all of you are dismissed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you next week.
See you, sir.
Okay.